So I'm going to be showing you a few other elements that you can use on your HTML page, right? So we have already seen H1, H2, H3. Basically, these are the header tags. There's also the paragraph, which is a P, and this basically allows you to create some paragraph content, right? So let's set something here. This blood and plasma, right? No, blood and bones. Yep. If I save that and I reload the page, you can see this. Now, if you were to put some larger amount of text there, there's what we call lorem ipsum. Yeah, so I'm gonna get this amount of text and put it here, another paragraph, right? And then save this and reload, and there we have it. So that is a paragraph of text. Okay, so I use the P tag to represent paragraphs, and you can see this is a paragraph, this is another paragraph, this is the first paragraph, this is another paragraph, right? So it basically breaks down your text into paragraphs. That is what this is meant for, right? Another useful tag that we might likely be needing is the div. Okay, now the div is gonna be your friend all through your lifetime as a web developer or when you're working on any web project. It is basically the building block of an entire page, modern pages. Okay, now the div allows you to do a lot of customizations. It allows you to break your page into sections, into divisions. Well, I think that's what they came up with in the div. So I'm gonna show you a few things that the div can do for you, right? So check this out. I create a div, I save it, I reload, nothing. You really can't see anything has changed, right? But let's say I decided to put something in this div. Okay. Yeah, fine. Put some text. Doesn't look like a big deal. But let's assume I were to create another div like I'm doing right now, and then I put some other form of text in it. I save it. Bam. It looks weird, right? But then this is a separate division of the page. Now you're going to appreciate the power of divs when you start applying CSS. And CSS is what we call cascading style sheets. It is like makeup. It is like the beauty, the beautiful part of the web page, right? With CSS, you can apply colors, you can apply positioning, you can change the way the page looks, right? So just keep the div in mind. Okay, a little trick here is you can also use the align on the div and say center, right? If I save this and I reload, you can see that this guy has been centralized. Okay, so similar to what we have on this header tag right here, the same can apply to the div in certain cases. But be aware that there will be times you use the align center on the div and it will not work. Alright, so now we have some ugly looking content on our page. Let's make them look nicer by adding some colors. And to do this, I'll introduce you to styling. Okay, so styling is the process or the methodology, whatever, by which you make things look nice. Style, you're giving it some style, basically. Nothing more to that. And how is it done? Pretty straightforward. You can style your page inline, which means you write it on the same line as the elements you want to style, right? So if you want to style this H1, you would Now you want to do it inline. It means you write all the styles for this H1 on this same line of the H1 definition, or within the as an attribute, or within the content of the tag. The other opposite of inline style definition is actually external styling using a CSS file, right? Remember I mentioned CSS earlier. So CSS undo styling, right? So let's just get to the basics. Basic styling. So we're going to style our header to look different. Okay, I'm going to do style. Pretty funny, right? Pretty straightforward. Is equal to, remember, so the style is now an attribute. I've imputed the name of the attribute and I'm going to give it some values. All right, so style, what do I want to change about it? I want to give it a color. So I can say color, and then yes, I hit enter, color colon red. If I save this and I reload the page, boom, red header. Cool, right? We can try something else for the others and say style, color, blue. Now this is going to be ugly, red and blue on the same page. Right. And we can say style, color, orange. I'm sure there is no orange color, but let's see. I may be lucky. Get away. Ah, there's an orange color. Right. Good. Okay, so now you can see how to apply colors on your elements. Pretty nice, huh? Straightforward and simple. Nothing out of the ordinary. Now, what if I wanted to add multiple, styles to this element, right? So remember, as I define this style attributes, everything here, the color is a property and the red is the value. The same way this color is a property and blue is the value. So you have property name, colon, value. So that is how you define styles. Alright, that is how you style your elements. And if you wanted to add multiple stylings, or you wanted to style multiple properties of the elements, one particular element inline, the single style definition, which is what we have here, you would separate them using a semicolon, right? So with this, I can go on to say, what can I style here on the header? Let's say font size. Yes, font size. I can change this to 10, right? I'll put 10 px. So in CSS, most numbers have units, right? So what you've seen here is 10 pixels, okay? And the pixel is the basic unit of computer graphics rendering, right? So every unit on your page, every dot on your page is referred to as a pixel. So if I were to save this and I were to reload this, you can see it has become really small, right? If I were to make this 50 pixels, see, and I save it, reload, you can see that. So I have styled this header to become red and to be 50 pixels in size. I can do something similar to this guy and say semicolon because I want to separate them. I'm putting another style. I say font size. This time I'm going to use 30. Percent, right? So percentage is another value or another unit you can use for defining numbers or dimensions in CSS. I'm really not sure what this is going to do, right? But let's check it out. Right, totally almost invisible. That's 30% for you. Let's make it 300% and see what that does. Bam, there we go, 300%. So this is obviously unrealistic. But another thing about using percentages is this, watch. Okay, that didn't work. Forget I said that. Yeah, I'll show you when it's relevant. Alright, so let's make this 30 pixels. Right, so we have seen how to style using color and font size properties. And these are inline styles because they are within the elements definition. Okay. Another thing you should take note of is that styles can be inherited. What do I mean? So all of these elements here are within the body tag, as you can see, right? They are within the body, which starts here and ends here. So all of these elements are children of the body, all right? The way the body is a child of the HTML tag, right? So if I wanted to style everything within the body to have a particular value for a particular property, I can do that by defining it on the body. Typical example, I can say that I put a style on the body and say background, yes, and I give it a color, purple, and I save it, and I reload. Did you see that? Yes, it is very ugly, terribly hurtful to my eyes, but you get the idea. So let's change this to something else. Black. I love black. Boom. Right. Now we have black text on black background, which is not visible. And I don't want to go around changing the colors of all these elements one by one. I can just do this semicolon again and say color white. I save it, and voila, what do you know? So because all of those elements are children of the body property, the body elements, any property, style property that is set on the body would affect every other element on the page. Does that make sense? Now you geniuses might be wondering, oh, you're right, you set the color of the entire body to white. Why are these guys still red and blue and orange? That is because they have their own individual properties, okay? Their own individual values, and the individual values will override the inherited values as far as styling is concerned, okay? So it's like saying genetics, right? You have a father, blah blah, parents, and they have a certain combination of genes, and they transfer these traits to their kids, but their kids decide to go AWOL and rebel and modify themselves, right? So I decide I'm not going to be dark skinned anymore, I'm going to bleach, I'm going to become light skinned, right? So I have overridden the inherited property I got from my parents, which is what is happening here basically. Does that make sense? I believe it does. I hope it does, right? So you can easily style your entire page by applying properties to the body, and then it takes effect on everything within it. You can then go on to specify any other custom properties, styling properties on individual elements, and they'll take their own properties. Alright, so another way I can demonstrate parenting and child relationships to you is we have this paragraph here, all of these paragraphs. I'm going to put them inside a div. Remember what I said about divs? They serve as containing containers. They don't do anything by themselves, but they serve as your containers. So I'm going to put this guy inside this div. Okay, what I did is I cut and pasted, right? In case you're wondering what happened. So when I save this, you probably won't see any difference on the page, but by the time I apply a style to this div, you will notice some things change. So what do we do? Let's change the style a bit. Let's say background, and let's make this some orange. And I save this. What do you know? Do you get the idea now? So I have basically broken up this white page into a section of black and very ugly looking orange colors. Pretty fun, right? So this gives you an idea of how you can construct stuff on your pages, group them together, and apply styles to all of the elements that are within a certain group. Alright? Nice. So let us, okay, I think I forgot something. Images, right? So we have seen how to apply headers, how to apply colors in line, how to apply, styling on parents elements and have them affect the children, right? All of these are done in line. So let's say we wanted to add an image to our page, right? Just to make it look fancy. Now remember, in the beginning I talked about structure, right? So if you remember the folder structure we have the images directory, CSS, blah blah, all of that. This is the page we're working on. So I am going to add an image to this images folder and then reference it within our page. So I have a bunch of images here on my desktop. I'll just pick one and drop it there. Right, boom. That's an image of the galaxy. Okay, let's try this guy. Get in there. Images. Get in there, don't be a chicken. Right. So I'll call this image1. Now let's call this galaxy.jpg. You should name your images with names that are easy to remember or easy to understand. Alright, so to insert an image in a page is very, very straightforward. Of course, there's an element or a tag for specifying that you want an image. And just like you guessed, it is as simple as saying this img represents an image. You're done. That's all. Okay, but then now that I specify what image I want to appear, then I need to give the image an attribute, and the attribute is the source, and we represent source by saying src. Attributes gets a value, equal sign, value would be within the quotes. Okay, now what is the location of my image? I stored it in the images folder, and the name is galaxy.jpg, which means it's going to have a path. The path is the pointer or the locator of the image, which is images/galaxy.jpg. And watch out, boom, bah, we have a galaxy on our page. Pretty ugly, right? Such a mess. We don't want our image spreading over the entire page like this. So I'm going to reduce. I'm going to give it another attribute, which is its width. I'm going to say I want this image to be 400. Now, when you don't put any units, it assumes you mean pixels, because pixel is the default unit of CSS on your page. So I'm going to save this and reload, and there we go. The size is reduced, the width is reduced. Makes sense, yeah? You can also do height and say 400. Now this is probably going to distort the image a bit. Yes. And why is that? Because I am specifying a height and a width which are not in agreement or in proportions to the image's original dimensions, right? So by practice, it is expected that you should either specify one of them in a case where you are not sure of both dimensions. So if I specify just the height, it looks better, right? If I specify just the width, it looks better. Do you get the idea? So unless you are sure of what the proportions between the width and the height should be, I would advise you specify just one of the values, right? All right. But then I will talk about in more advanced lessons, you understand how you can make that happen to ensure that your image is actually well, cropped and stuff. Okay, so now you can add an image to your page, right? So we're trying to make a page, remember, which is supposed to look like what I showed you earlier, which means I think we should start writing our stuff to make it make some sense, right? So I'm just gonna do this and clear up all of this junk. I'm gonna say put